Today's complete story is sponsored by HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. HelloFresh cuts out the stressful meal planning and grocery shopping so that you can enjoy cooking again. And you can get your meals on the table in about 30 minutes or less. HelloFresh offers 50 menu and market items so that there's something for everyone to enjoy. And all of the recipes are designed and tested by professional chefs and nutritional experts to ensure deliciousness and simplicity. Plus, HelloFresh is 28% cheaper than shopping at your local grocery store and 72% cheaper than a restaurant without sacrificing that delicious quality. I love HelloFresh because I can cook and have a great meal without having to go through the hassle of thinking of what I might have the time or ingredients for. Because trust me, all the time I have a great idea and there's nothing in the fridge. With HelloFresh, I can simply grab one of their meals and get cooking. Delicious every time. So go to HelloFresh.com/complete14 and use the code complete14 for up to 14 free meals plus free shipping. That's HelloFresh.com/complete14 and use the code complete14 for up to 14 free meals plus free shipping. Enjoy cooking again with HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. Thor was once a human known as Donald Blake, and when Donald Blake was retired, he was sent to an Asgardian heaven, or so we thought. This is the Comicstorian channel where I take some of your favorite trade paperbacks and single issues and I break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Then I read them dramatically back to you. All alterations to the panels, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. Today we're going to be bringing you Thor issues 9 through 14. Just to give you a quick run-up as to how we're here, Thor became the King of Asgard. He then fought against Galactus, ended up on Fortnite Island, and came back home trying to figure out what was going wrong and why he just didn't feel right as the King of Asgard. And that brings us to today's storyline, Prey. Sometime in memorial, there's always been a bird and a serpent. Odin and Jormungand, the great serpent, coiled around the world tree. Thor knew that one day this endless battle would be passed on to his son, but Thor was young and arrogant. So Odin created a shadow of Thor, so that the young god could learn what it meant to be a good man. This man was Donald Blake, and he was tethered to Thor, and he would teach him of mercy and how fragile man was. But in times of need, Donald Blake would strike his staff against the ground and transform into the mighty Thor. And that begs the question, if Thor is in the world of man, where did Donald Blake go? The sun shines down on a perfect little suburb, and Donald walks quietly down the street waving to his neighbors as they mow the lawn, passing paperboys and families getting snacks from an ice cream truck. The answer is that Donald Blake goes and went nowhere. An eternal and unchanging place of Odin's making, and in this place Donald Blake is loved, he is respected, he feels no pain, he feels no grief. And when he's brought back into the world, he has no memories of his time in nowhere, or of the time that has passed. Weeks, months, years have passed as he walks through these endless streets of sunshine and happiness. It is the root of the world tree itself that these streets wind around. Donald Blake looks up at the bright sunshine and he dreams of flying. And Loki finishes his ale, wiping his mouth, informing his brother that the tale of Donald Blake is the most boring in all of history. What is the point of this, brother? Thor nods as he pours himself another drink. The point is that I'm going to bring him back. Loki is shocked, but Thor explains that it will just be for a weekend. He just wishes to be a stranger again, to be around people who do not bow to him. You're losing your mind, brother, he shouts. The responsibility of being king is weighing on Thor, yet he refuses to run. I just need a day of not being the king, to find my way so that I can be a better king. Loki, my brother, I need your help, Thor explains. Loki nods, knowing that his brother needs him to lie. He explains that he is no longer the god of lies, but he can still smell them. He places his drink by Mjolnir, demanding his brother tell him the truth. But Thor continues to make excuses. Fine, have it your way, Loki shouts as he lifts Mjolnir, hurling it at Thor, and the hammer slams into Thor's chest, tossing him across the room where he stands angry. Oh, what? You didn't think that I knew that anyone can lift the hammer now? Loki asks as he retrieves his drink. He explains that while he knows the story of Donald Blake, he also knows where Thor goes when he disappears. You enter the Elder's Sleep, where you can commune with the spirits of the old kings. Anyone can pick up Mjolnir. The ancient Asgardian magics are coming apart at the seams. Something is destroying destiny and you want answers, brother. Loki tells Thor. So Loki finally agrees to the scheme, informing Thor that he wants answers as well. And besides, you will owe me one absurdly large favor that I look forward to regretting in the future. Thank you, brother, Thor says solemnly as he lifts his hammer, striking it against the ground. And in a flash of light and smoke, he disappears. As the smoke billows out, clearing away, Loki stares in shock at what he sees. In a swirl of light, Thor plummets through the fabric of reality. It has been years since Thor and Donald have switched places, but Thor already knows that something is wrong. The kings of old turned their gaze from him in dread, guilt, shame. Thor drops through reality into nowhere. He looks around himself in shock, for something has gone wrong. It seems that Donald Blake has woken up and gone incredibly insane. The sun is eclipsed. The suburb is burning around him as Thor walks down the street. People laying burning in their own blood, and everywhere is the question, why am I awake? As Thor walks through this burning hellscape, he sees something of true horror in the distance. The great serpent is dead. Yet if Thor is here, that means Donald Blake is free. Loki looks at the good doctor in shock. Donald Blake stands with his staff and a knife. Blake? Is that you? Loki asks. No, not really. Blake growls at him. Loki pulls his dagger, calling forth a magical burst, throwing it at Blake. But the man moves too fast, dodging the magic, throwing his knife, hitting Loki in the neck. Oh, Loki, how good it is to see you again! Loki continues to fight, not knowing how Blake gained such power. I will not be bested by a pretend Thor named Donald Blake! Loki snaps, but Blake catches his blow, snapping his arm in one move, and as Loki falls to the ground, Blake looks down on him with deranged madness in his eyes. I am not your king! I will never be a refuge for a god again, and from now on, none of you will have a place to hide from me. I am no Thor, and I never will be again, Blake tells him, snapping the staff over his knee. Bloody footprints follow Donald Blake into Odin's armory. Within, he finds the Book of Thor. As he reads, he begins to tear pages out of it. No more, no more, no more, he mutters to himself until finally he lets the book hit the floor, reaching for Thor's axe, Mjolnir. Suddenly the door slams open and into the room steps Beta Ray Bill, Lady Sif, and Volstagg. Donald Blake, I presume? Sif questions, the warriors raising their weapons as Sif orders Donald to drop the axe. Release the axe! Yes! Donald shouts as he throws it across the room, the weapon spinning towards Sif's head, but caught quickly by Beta Ray Bill, the mighty warrior turning and beginning to move towards Blake. Ah, Bill, I still carry Thor's memories, you know. I know of your recent spat with Galactus. We are brothers! Both made from Odin to teach his son a lesson. No more toys for Odin's meddling. No more! Donald tells him, and the two meet in combat. But Blake is too fast. He punches Bill in the head, stabbing him repeatedly in the arm, kicking him away. Then, as he reaches down, Blake rips the power from Bill's body, reverting him to his natural form. No more Thor! Blake screams as Beta Ray Bill tries to crawl away. He reaches out for the fallen Mjolnir, but Blake reaches it first, hefting it over his head, preparing it for the killing blow. Enough! Volstagg shouts as he steps in, punching Blake across the face. As Donald wipes the blood from his mouth, Volstagg welcomes his old friend home. I've prepared you a feast! Volstagg tells him, motioning to the door. Sif stands ready, the Thunder Guard flanking her. Thunder Guard, warriors of Asgard, on me! The Pretender doesn't leave this room. Let's end this! Sif orders as she and the guards rush across the chamber. Ha! Finally! Blake shouts, rushing to meet them, his axe cutting through the guards fast as Blake tosses all of the warriors aside with ease. Donald remembers everything now. He remembers fighting them all in the past. He remembers Sif's fall. He remembers the Warriors 3's fall, and Donald grabs Volstagg, twisting and throwing him from the room. Sif yells for her friend, but Donald turns, cracking her in the face. She raises her sword, and Donald pushes it away, stabbing her several times in the hand. In moments, the battle has ended, and Donald is standing over the fallen warriors, and on one hand, he holds Yarnborn. In the other, he holds Sif's sword, the key to the Bifrost. You have fallen valiantly, Lady Sif, but your sword, your title, and your powers are now mine. Your Thunder Guard, your warriors are felled. Do not feel bad. Don't blame yourself. No one could have seen this coming, Donald tells her, and with his final words, he strikes Sif's sword against the ground, and everything teleports away in a stream of rainbow lights. No! Sif screams, light fading, and Volstagg is there helping her to her feet. She is shocked that Blake moved through them so fast and was able to wield her sword, and was able to teleport all of Asgard away. Aye, Lady Sif, there will be a time for wound licking later. I believe we have a more immediate concern to deal with, Volstagg tells her, motioning to the blood dimension that now surrounds them. She shakes her head, telling the mighty warrior that she will deal with this hell, and whatever demons call it home. Donald Blake may have won the first fight, but she will come back. But what she really wants to know is, where the hell is Thor? Later in Asgard, Donald smiles to himself in a mirror after cleaning up his hair and his beard. He understands why Thor never came back. He understands that he was surrounded by the splendor of Asgard. He walks through the city and across the Rainbow Bridge. Meanwhile, in the shadow of the World Tree, Thor continues to walk through the former world of Donald Blake. Hello! Is there no one who can hear my calls? He bellows as he strides through the destroyed world, but a rumble reaches his ears. I hear you, little bird, the great serpent says, and Thor rounds a corner to look up at the great dragon. He strides forward, demanding to know what happened. What has bested the world serpent so? The great serpent breathes heavily, explaining that he couldn't pass into this world until the Odin force passed to Thor. Since your magics are broken, I came to Blake to free him from his cage, to show him what he truly was, another pawn in Odin's game. The serpent tells Thor, each breath a labor that brings him closer to death. Meanwhile, over in Midgard, Earth itself, Donald Blake leaves a store with a brand new suit, smiling at the world around him, a bag of weapons slung over his shoulder. He took my power, but he discovered the Odin force within him as well. And with the roaring fire of both a god and a dragon inside of him, it awoke a fury unlike anything I've ever seen. Donald Blake will bend to no one. He cannot be stopped. He slit my throat, tore my hide for his armor. He is the dragon now, and he will take everything. Everything that you love, Thor, will burn. The serpent rumbles. Over on Midgard, Blake enters a hospital, walking through its halls until he finally opens up a door and smiles. Dr. Foster, I presume, he says to Jane Foster. Donald, Jane says as she turns and moves to her old friend, giving him a hug. I haven't seen you for so long. Donald pulls her in close. Yes, far, far too long. Donald reaches across the table at Jane, telling her that he hasn't felt this good in a long time. He reaches for his knife, explaining that it's like every nerve in his body is exploding. His hand trembles for a brief moment as he cuts into his steak. But listen to me, rambling on. What's new with you, Jane? Tell me everything. They sit across from each other in a nice restaurant, sharing a meal, and Jane looks at him for a second. She asks if something happened to him, commenting that he seems a little different. Last time I saw you, or him, he was heading off to be king, she comments. But Donald smiles and shakes his head. I don't think the crown fit the way that he thought it would. I suppose that's why I'm here, showing up out of nowhere and acting like a complete loon, he tells her, and she reaches out her hand, placing it over Donald's. You don't seem happy to me, she tells him. Donald nods, removing his hand, telling her that the transition has been challenging, but there are holes in his memory. Thor, his voice, his thoughts, he seems so far away. He tells her as he reaches for his coffee. I fear that he has gone somewhere that I cannot follow. Meanwhile, in the middle of nowhere, Thor slams his hammer against the concrete wall once again. Lightning striking and thunder rumbling. The earth quakes and houses fall with a clash, and Thor bellows in frustration. By Odin, hear me! Hear my thunder! Anyone heed my call! He shouts to the massive crater that he has created in nowhere, falling to his knees. Let me Go home. I just want to go home. But Thor looks up as a voice reaches his ears. Well, this is just embarrassing, Ratatosk mumbles. Thor turns, striding towards the squirrel of the world tree. He asks the god of chaos if he can get a word to Asgard about his location, but Ratatosk shakes his head. I'm afraid not, you see. There's no one to get word to. Asgard is empty. Thor, all the gods are lost, the god explains. Meanwhile, over in the blood dimension, Sif looks at Volstagg as he lifts another hunk of meat to his mouth. This is insane. We have to get home. We don't have time for this, Sif shouts. Volstagg takes a bite and motions to the small creatures that have welcomed them into their home, explaining that it would be rude to not indulge them. One of the creatures nods and explains that if they are friends of Thor, they are friends of him. Mighty Thor freed us of the tyranny during the Civil Bone Wars after Doctor Strange turns half of us into bunnies, he says with a smile. Sif stares at the small creature for a moment before walking away. This is insane! She shouts again, and in the next chamber, she finds the small healers trying to help Beta Ray Bill. I don't deserve it. I should have been stronger. I should have protected you. He gasps at her, but she shakes her head, explaining that Blake blindsided them. Finally, Bill struggles up, telling her that he knows a way home. Lockjaw. He was in Asgard when the Pretender sent us here. He and I are war-bound. Where I go, he is sure to be at my side. We must find him, and he can teleport us back. Lockjaw left, Thor calls from the corner. It is over there that he's chewing a hunk of meat, and he explains that Lockjaw smelled death and knew a friend was in trouble. Back at the diner, Jane continues to tell Donald where she is in her life now. How she is a morgue's assistant. Blake is shocked but continues to eat. Well, I suppose I've missed a lot. That's why I came to see you. I guess I just needed to see a friendly face. He explains that he hasn't been back long, but wanted to look up some old friends as he cuts into his steak looking up at her. Which reminds me, I wanted to ask, you wouldn't happen to know where Odin is these days? I've been asking around and no one seems to have an answer. But Jane shakes her head, explaining that she and Odin never got along when she was Thor. Donald's eyes widened as he begins to see red. When you were... What? He stammers, trying to reach for his knife as Jane explains that she became Thor for a short time. Donald grabs the knife, slamming it to the table, stabbing it through Jane's hand. No more! He screams as he rips the power of Thor out of her body. Donald? Are you okay? What's wrong? She asks, snapping Blake out of the dream that he was in. He shakes his head, pushing away from the table, reaching for his bag. I'm fine. I have to go. He tells her, and she starts to apologize, but he shakes his head, explaining that he has more old friends that he would want to look up. Anger flashes across his eyes for a moment, just as quickly as they soften. You were always good to me, Jane. You loved me once, not him. Me. You don't belong in the morgue. And with that, he turns and walks away. Jane returns to the morgue where her coworker tells her to come look at a body. He turns, telling her to prepare herself, that he thinks it's one of hers, and he opens up the bag, revealing the heavily damaged body of Robert Red Norval. He used to be like you, right? He was a Thor? The coworker asks, but Jane doesn't answer. Turning and running to the bathroom, she splashes cold water on her face as she looks in the mirror. No, he would, not him. Not him, come on, get it together. Donald is fine, she tells herself, but as she looks into the mirror, she can see the orb of death floating over her head. Lightning cracks against the ground in Central Park as Donald Blake pushes through the trees, holding Yarnborn in his hands, his clothes tattered and torn. Come out, come out! You think I'm scared of you? He calls into the woods, and suddenly lightning cracks from the sky again, striking Donald, forcing him to the ground. He looks up at his attacker. I was not hiding! I was hunting! Now get up and run! Throg orders him as he holds his hammer aloft, Lockjaw at his back. Inside the middle school science lab, the children look down in boredom as they continue to dissect their frogs that lay on their table, when suddenly the wall explodes inward as Donald Blake is thrown through it. Damn frog! He gasps as he struggles to his feet, smoke clearing, revealing the thunderous frog, Throg, his hammer crackling with magic lightning. I know not why you hunt me, only that you wear the face of a stolen friend. For that, you shall answer, and know this, Pretender, Throg is sport for no one, not man, nor demon, nor beast, nor fowl. The mighty frog wards him, but Donald merely hefts his weapons. Put your pads up and fight, you miserable toad. Very well, now comes the pain. Lockjaw, kill! Throg shouts as he leaps across the room. Lockjaw appears behind Blake, his mouth open wide to bite, but Blake ducks the Inhuman and slams Sif's sword into the ground, teleporting them away in a blast of rainbow light. Throg looks around in shock at their new location as Donald wields his axe. "Just you and me, Lilypad! Show me what you got!" He begins to shout, but Lockjaw once again appears behind him. Blake continues to teleport himself and Throg, their battle taking them to Egypt, another dimension, the Savage Lands. Lockjaw quick on their heels as he follows. Finally, though, Throg slips up and Blake grabs him, stuffing the amphibian into his mouth. Victorious! Blake turns to Lockjaw. Now, you know what happens to rabid dogs. They go to the doctor and they never. He begins to taunt, but suddenly Throg's hammer flies out of his mouth, shattering his teeth! The hammer spins through the air, slamming into Blake's stomach, forcing him to projectile vomit Throg out. Throg holds out his hand, the hammer returning to him with a thwump. "Now where were we, monster?" the mighty frog asks, but as Blake rushes forward, Lockjaw clamps down on his arm. Throg leaps at Blake, his hammer crackling. "I have no more words for thee, villain! So now we let Frog Mjolnir do the talking!" Throg shouts as he brings his hammer down, Blake hitting the ground, unable to move. "Aye, Lockjaw, I am fine. Thank you for the assistance once again." Throg answers, his friends barks. As they look down at their foe, Throg believes that Blake is behind the killing of Thor folk. He knows that they must interrogate him, and he believes that they need to bring him to the doctor. Elsewhere in the city, Jane Foster moves through the busy streets, still unable to believe that Donald might be the one killing everyone. But it does make sense. She keeps dialing her phone, knowing that she needs to find Thor. Problem is, no one seems to know where he's at. She sighs as Tony's phone once again goes to voicemail. She stops inside of the home of Dr. Strange, believing the doctor might know what to do, and from above, the glass shatters as Jane looks up in shock. Throg landing at her feet, bloody. "Lady Jane! Run!" He gasps, and more glass shatters as Lockjaw's massive body falls next. As Throg moves to help his friend, Jane looks up to see Donald holding Dr. Strange outside his own window. Jane quickly turns into the Valkyrie in seconds, leaping to aid Strange. "Donald, drop Dr. Strange now," she commands as she flies into the air. Blake's look of shock turns to a sick grin. "Jane, now that is interesting," he grins, throwing the doctor at her, slamming his sword into the ground and once again disappearing into the Bifrost. Valkyrie catches Dr. Strange, lowering him to the ground. He looks at her in shock, explaining that Blake tossed him aside like he was nothing. "You don't understand what he's become. He's hunting those with Odin magic, slaughtering and draining them for the power that they wield." He tells her. He knows that Blake saw the same power in him, the Asgardian magic that he used to fight Loki. He tells her that Donald saw the truth, the place where Steven obtained his magic. "He knows I stole it from the World Tree." Donald appears before the Great Yggdrasil. The World Tree, lashing out with his axe, cutting deep into the trunk of the tree, drinking of the sap that comes forth. "Are you up there? Can you hear me? Can you see me, Father?" He shouts as the sap continues to drain, the lifeblood of the tree of life pouring out of it as it drips down, coating its own roots. And in the land of nowhere, it pours down like rain. Yggdrasil, no! He holds up his hand, catching some of the sap. "Donald, you will pay for this! Do you hear me?" He bellows into the darkened sky. Back in the city, Jane helps Steven to his feet. She calls for Mr. Horse and orders that the three stay and find Thor. As she mounts her mighty steed, Steven tries to explain to her that she won't be able to face Donald alone. "Oh, believe me, I don't intend on being alone, Steven," she shouts as she flies away, and with the speed of Mr. Horse, Valkyrie travels the cosmos in mere moments. She arrives on an alien world, and dismounting, she orders Mr. Horse to stay as she strides towards the entrance to an alien bar. She kicks open the door with anger. "You! I know you don't like me, and the feeling is mutual. If you can find your way out of the bottom of your cup, it is time to stop hiding." She makes demands of an old man leaning over in the bar, many bottles and tankards and cans surrounding him. "I have had enough of dealing with your arrogant and fool-headed children, so saddle up, you're coming with me. It's time to clean up your own mess, Odin." You see, it was after Odin had given up his crown that he and his wife set out among the cosmos, hoping to rekindle the fire that once burned at their hearts. It seems that the flame between them was lost, and when Odin finally found it again, it only burned in his heart, and Freya had left. As Odin journeyed alone, he hoped to find faith once more in the bottom of a bottle. Until now. He flies across the room as Jane punches him hard in the jaw. She demands that he get up, ordering him to finish the fight, that she needs his help, but shock suddenly crosses her face. Why are you so weak? Odin struggles to his feet, explaining that he is not the god that he once was. I have lost so very much since we last spoke. He explains as he reaches for another glass, and Jane tries to explain to him that Thor is in trouble, but Odin interrupts him. Of course he is. The boy can take care of himself. He tells her as he begins to drink, but Jane interrupts him, filling him in on the recent events. That Donald Blake escaped, that he killed the Midgard serpent and stole its powers. And as we speak, he is ripping the World Tree apart with his bare hands to gain all of its power. Odin lets her finish before slamming his mug down on the bar. That'll do! Get my armor! In the blood dimension, Bill continues to take stock of the many weapons and armor that the goat people are providing them. Sif is angry, demanding that they do something to find their way out of the blood dimension. We're gonna do everything we can until we can do more. Bill nods to her. You're a god, Sif, you should know. It means having faith. Suddenly there's a flash as a portal opens up, revealing Doctor Strange, Throg, Lockjaw, and Bats. Sorry we're late. It's been quite some time since I've been to this realm. He tells them with a smile. Sif steps forward, asking Strange to take them back to Asgard at once, and Strange looks around, admitting that he wasn't expecting so many of them. Oh, Steven, how I relish this! Go on, say you need my help! Loki laughs as he steps out of the shadows, smiling, knowing that he and Strange have been enemies in the past, but now they share a common enemy. So let's open up the gates to hell, shall we? Over at the World Tree, Donald continues to chop at its roots when suddenly he is hit from behind. He gets to his feet smiling. Oh no, can it be? Can one man be this lucky? Has the Frog Prince truly returned for more? He asks with an evil smile as he looks up to see Throg, but the mighty frog nods his head. Aye, indeed I have returned! Lucky for you! Throg says as the rest of the Asgardians step through the portals behind him, and Donald raises his axe, demanding to know if he should be scared. A massive gauntlet grabs him from behind, slamming him to the ground. Oh, I would be! Odin rumbles at him, and Blake gets to his feet, staring up at the man that was once his father. It's about time, father! Donald spits at him. Odin merely looks down at him with his one eye. I am not your father, ghost, but if it's punishment you look for, congratulations, your journey has come to an end. He tells him, and Odin tells Donald that he doesn't know what he's unleashed. All the power that he's unleashed from the World Tree, all the blood that is leaking out. Where do you think it is bleeding to? He asks as the realization dawns on Donald and his eyes widen with fear. In the unknown, down below, lightning cracks as Thor raises Mjolnir, the ground trembling, breaking as Thor slams his hammer with each statement of anger. I am the god of the storm. I am the king of Asgard. Can you hear me, Blake? Can you feel the thunder? He shouts, holding Mjolnir close to his chest, lightning springing out of the weapon. You want the Odin Force! You may not have it! You may have the Thor Force! You may have it all! Lightning quakes from the roots of the World Tree, traveling upwards as it lashes out at Donald, throwing him away. To me, my ravens! Thor shouts to his eyes and ears in the universe. Black streaks rip through the hole that Thor has created, but the mystical birds inform their king that they cannot free him from his place. Yes, I know. But you can move my spirit, Thor asks. The birds inform him that he would need a vessel, and Thor smiles. Oh, I have an idea. Above, Donald struggles to his feet, looking at Odin, informing the god that he still owes him. I will not be stopped, not by anyone. I will kill 100 more of you until I have what's rightfully mine. You owe me a life. Donald bellows at the former king, and Odin steps forward, shaking his head. All life ends, and I will give you no more than that. Donald Blake, Shadow of Thunder, Slayer of the Great Serpent, it is my judgment that you will be unmade and your name stricken. Odin begins, taking his spear, stepping forward, but a voice calls out from behind him, forcing the old god to turn. Father, I believe I'll handle this. Thor calls, lashing out, sending Donald flying into the air. He lands looking up in fear. Oh God! He gasps. You wanted power. Come and get it. Thor's voice shouts from the body of the destroyer as it steps forward. Blake struggles to his feet, to the might of Asgard standing before him. "Stay down, Blake, if you wish to live." Odin orders him, but Loki smiles. "I do so wish you disobey my father," he tells Donald, but the power begins to glow in Donald's hands as he looks at them in anger. "If I wish to live, that is all I've ever wanted. But you wouldn't let me. Why did you make me like this? Why do I feel so much pain?" he demands, and a blast hits him with Donald being thrown away once again. "Pain! You know nothing of pain!" Thor shouts, the destroyer rushing forward, preparing to attack again. "But I promise you this, you will!" he shouts, but Donald holds out his hand and Mjolnir comes to him. "Thor, I would have words with thee!" he laughs, but Thor isn't listening, punching him hard in the face, and then he hits him again, and then he hits him again, the blows tossing Donald back and forth. Finally, Mjolnir falls from his grasp and Donald hits the ground. No more words," Thor growls, and Donald nods as he stands again. "I agree," he snaps as he leaps forward, grabbing the destroyer. "Brother, did you think that this would work? Trying to kill me with armor made by Odin?" Donald snarls as he begins to leech the Odin force out of the destroyer, and Odin steps forward, reaching out his hand. "That is enough! Mjolnir to me!" he commands, and the hammer lifts off of the ground, rocketing through the air, but it is caught by another. "Nay, you have your weapon, and I believe I am owed one of my own!" Bill shouts as he once again transforms. Beta Ray Bill then tosses the hammer, smacking it against Donald, throwing him off of the destroyer. "As the War Master of Asgard, I say this ends!" Bill orders as he looks at Strange, and the Sorcerer Supreme casts a spell tying Donald with the Crimson Bands of Sidorak. The man falls to the ground as the forces of Asgard gather around him. Donald becoming hysterical, shouting that he will not be caged again. "I believe I am the one who would decide that," Odin rumbles as he steps forward, looking down at Donald, admitting that creating him was a mistake, and he aims his spear at the man. "I am long overdue to make this right." Donald nods, tears streaming down his face as he begs Odin to make him what he was always meant to be. "Make me nothing," he gasps. But as Odin raises his spear, it is Loki who calls out to stop. "Father," Thor says, stepping forward, and Loki uses his magic to fix Donald's staff, tossing it to Thor. The destroyer catches it, smashing it to the ground, and with a tremble of energy forces Odin to stumble as he looks up to see his son there. "Nay, you will do nothing, father. I am king," Thor commands as Mjolnir flies to his waiting hand. Odin bows before his son, admitting that this is all his fault, and Thor looks down at his father, anger in his eyes. This is your doing, and you have my word, father. You and I will come to a reckoning, but not today," Thor tells him as he strides past Odin to the trapped Donald Blake, sadness crossing Odin's face as Thor tells him to see himself out. "Give mother my love," Thor says as he turns away, and with that, Odin turns to go. Looking down at Donald, Thor turns, asking Strange to release him. Donald looks shocked as he is once again free and asks Thor why he would do this. "Because you are my brother. You are made from my father. Whatever is in your blood that makes you you flows in me. So no, Donald, I will not kill you." But then he reaches out, grabbing Donald by the throat. "But then again, I have never been above hurting my brothers when they fall out of line," he says, lifting him into the air, lightning cracking from the sky, slamming into Donald. Thor drops the smoking man to the ground once more. Loki then steps forward and Thor questions his mischievous brothers. "What do I do with them?" Loki understands that Donald did what he did because of how he was created. "He did not ask to be born into this family, so I'll handle it, brother." Later, the torchlight awakens Donald as he looks up in fear at Loki, who holds a torch aloft, showing Donald that he is strapped to a table with a great serpent coiled around the chains above him. "You want it to be real. You want it to be a god. So you shall have it. I renounce my title. It is now yours. Congratulations, Donald. You now sit on the throne of the god of lies. Ever shall you reign," Loki calls as he leaves the chamber. The snake slithers down the chains, rearing over Donald's chained body and begins to drip venom into the godling's eyes. The hissing of flesh is drowned out by the screams of pain that rip out of Donald's throat. And there you have it, Thor Prey, The new god of lies is decided, Loki is still becoming a good guy, Thor is still king, and I had so much fun recording this one. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you want to have a say in these longer videos that come to the channel, consider joining us at Patreon. Patreon gets to vote on various videos that come to the channel. I want to do too many videos, and YouTube doesn't like me releasing that many videos. So I put them all on Patreon, and then you guys decide what comes to the channel. It's been a lot of fun for me, and I'm really enjoying it, and would love to have you be a part of that community. So come on over, hang out with us. It's going to be a lot of fun. Also, let me know what you think about this storyline, Thor Prey. Did you enjoy it? I know it's a super long one, but it was a really good one. I enjoyed it a lot, and I hope you guys are looking forward to it as well. I guess on that note, we're just going to end the video here. I'm Benny. This is the Comicstorian channel. If you want more stuff like this on a nearly daily basis, consider hanging around, and we'll see you next time right here.